Welcome back to the NJCPA Tech Talk podcast. I'm your host, Sean Stein-Smith, and our podcast is actually brought to you by the Emerging Technologies Interest Group. And so I have an excellent, well-educated guest here. Now, obviously, all of my guests are well-educated, but our current guest is a extra educated person. We'll find out why soon. But just a quick word about me as we get this podcast underway right here. And again, welcome back to the NJCPA Tech Talk podcast. I'm your host right there, Sean Stein-Smith. I do quite a bit of work in the IT space, emerging tools, applications, all of that with a honed-in focus on blockchain, crypto. I do a lot of writing, training, consulting, education, podcasts in this area, but I won't bore you all with that too much more, because I want to introduce our episode guest right here today, Philip Sookram, who is a real rock star actually in the accounting space. Phil, introduce yourself to our audience right here, please.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Sean. And it's a pleasure to be on the Tech Talks. I was just listening to the episode with you and Garrett the other day. So, it's an honor to be here and spend time with you. And, for those who aren't familiar with me, I am Philip Sookram. I am an accounting professor going into my fourth year tenure track position at St. Peter's University. I'm a licensed CPA. I'm from New York. A little background in my education. I did my undergrad in accounting at University of Miami, and I got my master's at Rutgers Business School in the Master's of Accounting program in financial accounting. And, I've been at St. Peter's for the last 3 years. I have experience in the nonprofit, private sector, public accounting, and now finally academia. So a little bit of everything.
Excellent stuff there, Philip. And your expertise in your education has been actually recognized by the NJCPA and the NYSSCPA too. So, and actually, like the two of us are the opposites, right? One of us live in the city, works in Jersey. I'm the opposite. Live in Jersey, work in the city. Interesting how that plays out, right?
No, absolutely. But we spent a lot of time, even pandemic and prior to pandemic, when we first met, and we had a good, nice conversation at one of the professional society events. We also took that to a little after happy hour, so it was good catching up with you.
Absolutely. Now, happy hours are always an excellent idea. Okay, and also just a other quick little tidbit here. If you tune into NJ12 and you actually see the ad for Phil's institution, he's actually in that commercial. So FYI. So our first guest who's in a TV commercial, actually. So making history here today.
Appreciate it.
All right. So obviously, right, you have some background, expertise working in NFPs, industries, public, but you're in higher education now. And so obviously all of us have been sort of forced to adapt and to probably onboard more IT tools and applications during the last 12 to 18 months. So in terms of the technology trends or the impact of increased tech usage in higher education, what are you seeing out there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, when we're talking about technology in higher education, and it's very similar to what we see in businesses right now. I mean, we got to think of, if we go back to not too long ago, March 2020, when the pandemic first hit, right? Everyone was wasn't able to go to the workplace or go to the office or go to the university. And, what resulted in that was just we really missed out on a lot of that water cooler talk, right? And kind of forced us into a lot of isolation, right? And, when we're all stuck at home, there was two things that was happening. Either we were isolated, which isn't good for business and sharing ideas and communication overall. But, on top of that, we didn't really have that method of communication, with one another. And, to kind of circumvent that, it kind of resulted in even more emails getting cluttered, right? Or, you want to talk to somebody really quick. I don't know about you, Sean, but I know my email box is even more flooded than it was pre-pandemic. But, I think one thing I realized is we were so bogged down by email. I know I was personally. And, I started to see a trend in a lot of companies that they started to adopt these digital workspace communication tools, kind of like Microsoft Teams or Slack. So, from the perspective of technology for employers, talking higher education faculty, administration, and staff, I would definitely look into implementing some sort of tool like that, where you have Slack or Microsoft Teams, which, for those who aren't familiar, it's an online communications tool where you can instantly message people. I know some companies used to have, Skype messaging, or some people had some form of instant messaging where you can kind of reach somebody. Emails should be, concise and to the point, and really share important information. And I'm sure we all get more than our fair share of email. But, I think what's really incredible about these online communication spaces with Slack and Microsoft Teams is just the ability to really form a community online. Like I said, we're moving into this digital space. We're trying to look and see if more flexible work from home techniques work, right? We kind of see that shift. And I think in order for that to happen, we want to be able to identify how can we communicate with each other effectively. If you're trying to ask someone a quick question right now, it's kind of, how do you message? I mean, do you hit them with a quick email, which email's not quick. If you want something quality, it's not quick. It takes thought, it takes time, and it is exhausting. I feel like the instant messaging function of the Microsoft Teams or Slack really just, I feel like it just helps, like I said, form that community. It doesn't always have to be work related. It can be on similar topics, similar interests. I heard from one of my roommates, on their team, what they have, they have like 5 group members, and what they did is, for each person's birthday, they'll create a little Slack channel with 4 people, not the birthday person, and kind of, just do something nice for them, or organize a gift, or, organize a slight kind of a thank you or whatnot. So I really think that community building, there's a lot of upside to it. I think there's a lot that can come from it. And I think implementing those tools from an employer perspective is really what's trending. I think what's hot, and really will improve the quality of work and just community overall. Now, that's talking employers. Technology, when we talk about students, I mean, I don't think it gets over addressed. And Sean, I'm sure you see very similar issues, but when we're talking accounting students, the first thing you're probably going to work in is Microsoft Excel. Having those Microsoft Excel skills is so crucial. It's the building block. It's the foundation. Just like we talk about the accounting equation is the foundation, the accounting is the language of business.
Assets equal liabilities plus what again, Phil?
Exactly. There you go. Owner's equity. Exactly. But, as CPAs, right, we're trusted business advisors. We help our clients make good business decisions. In order to make a good business decision, you need to analyze data and understand that data. But, the first step is really that Excel knowledge. There's actually, on the NJCPA, their latest issue, the summer 2021, Accelerating Change, my colleague Bridget D'Souza, another accounting professor at St. Peter's University, she actually just wrote an article on top 5 Excel skills for entry-level staff. And I would definitely recommend, that's definitely a great start to look. Now, one challenge at many universities, I'm at St. Peter's University. It's a 4-year Jesuit university. Sometimes universities may not have access to Microsoft Excel. They might, personally, our universities in Google Suite, or if you're talking, 2-year universities, community colleges, they're strapped for resources. Universities, we're coming out of a very tumultuous time right now of financial instability. right? A lot of universities have closed due to the pandemic. Some programs have shut down, really strapped for resources. So, for those students that may not have access to Microsoft Excel at your university for whatever reason, I definitely recommend looking at Coursera. Coursera has, it's free to look at the Coursera. It's modules, it's training videos. They have a bunch of Excel ones, some great Excel ones. It's great practice. I believe that the modules themselves, to go through it, I believe it's free to sign up for an account. But if you want a badge to show completion, then you need to pay for it. So, I always look for the kind of the freemium or the free resources out there. And, I don't think I can state enough. I think that foundation of having Excel skills can really put you in a position for your first accounting job, whether that's public accounting or not, right? We're not just talking public, we're talking private, we're talking nonprofit. I personally started my first position at a nonprofit in Long Island from 2012, 2015. And just taking my time to learn the steps and study for the CPA exam at the same time. I wasn't working in public accounting, so, I wasn't working, many hours. So I had the ability to take my time to learn. And I just want to stress that, I think the first thing is having that Microsoft Excel foundation, doing basic skills, basic training, and just one more thing on top of that. I know a lot of our younger viewers or younger aspiring CPAs.
Wait a second, man.
Yeah.
Wait a second. Aren't we the younger viewers? No.
That's what I used to think. But every day now, I gotta watch the foods I eat and all that stuff. So I question how young I am now. But I know a lot of our younger viewers are on social media platforms, and even on Instagram there is an account called Sheet Sensei, and I'm sure there's many other accounts out there too. But finding those different resources, and Sheet Sensei does tips every day of just nice shortcuts for Microsoft Excel, and I think just leveraging those type of resources is very helpful, because it would be very difficult to find an accounting job without having any Excel skills. And I think, summertime is a great time that if you have some free time on your hands to look at that Coursera, maybe do some training, you might stumble upon another skill set that you find interesting. And that's something that you can incorporate down the line. So, I definitely recommend, Excel is very important for technology trends in higher education. I know you did a couple episodes on RPA and blockchain, and that's the next level, right? Like we want to start with baby steps with our incoming pipeline of students.
Yeah, no, and to echo on a few of your earlier points, right? One, this whole sort of bifurcation between industry and education does still exist, right? That obviously the private sector moves a little faster under some normal conditions, but that there are quite a few, let's say, commonalities between the opportunities, obstacles that are actually facing every institution out there, be it NFP, for-profit, educational focused, and that too, right? This whole pivot towards a work from home, work off-site, work anywhere is a trend that is going to start to hopefully go back to more on-site things, but that isn't ever going to go totally away, right? Because all of us found tools, applications that kind of worked, or that could use some help to actually work better. But a comment that I do want to build on, right, is this whole idea of trying to build a good pipeline going forward is a hot topic, and it has been a hot topic since 2010, probably, right? Or 2085, right? All the rest. And there are a few issues out there, right? But probably the top one that I'm hearing more and more, and there actually was a poll or a poll that was published in Accounting Today, I believe, back a few weeks ago, that actually pointed out that the top reason why students aren't becoming a CPA is this whole idea of this work-life balance, right? That in higher education, the traditional focus always was on, go to the Big Four, work in audit or in tax, and boom. But there are quite a few other options out there. So in terms of trying to help build out that sort of broad-based pipeline going forward, are there any topics or tactics that you found that actually work the best?
Yeah, absolutely, Sean. And I think that, there's no secret that, the AICPA trends report, and they from 2019, and they publish it every other year. We have declining enrollment of accounting graduates. We have less people sitting for the CPA exam. We have less people choosing the major.
Just bad news, man. Seriously.
Yeah. It looks like a little trough we're experiencing right now. No, of course. And I think that's, like I said, there's no secret that there's, in that report, there's a lack of diversity of CPA partners out there, and, and ethnicity and whatnot. But I mean, I think the main thing we got to take a look at is a couple things. First off, when we talk about the diversity, it's more of, if as a profession, the CPA profession has not been catering to many other groups, would it be worth catering to them to see if they're interested, right? Like it's like, we're talking getting people interested, getting students and young students, getting them early, letting them know what is a CPA. I mean, sometimes sometimes you might be lucky enough to have someone in your family who might have been a CPA or might have been an accountant, but I didn't have many CPAs, or I don't think there was any in my family. But I think being able to advocate for that, being able to market that, I mean, showcase what is it that we do. It's not just, we don't just do audit and tax. It's more of we're individuals with interests, and we have things that we like, and we're advancing profession. And at the end of the day, I mean, I always say, accounting is the best profession. It's truly, it truly is the language of business. I mean, you don't have to end up in just public accounting to reap the benefits of understanding, how a business generates revenue, or how it incurs expenses, or how owners make money. I mean, that's, in the classroom, you're talking principles of accounting 1 and 2, financial managerial accounting. I mean, that's just learning how to operate a business, and in this, I think in this day and age, we have so many entrepreneurs and so many people who are just, just new industries that are forming. I mean, you're talking creators on social media or on YouTube, making a lot of money. And I think part of that is just, when we talk about CPAs, we got to remember we're the advocate for business advisors, right? And the first thing that you always want to learn is the financial literacy aspect, right? Like that's in the accounting wheelhouse, right? I mean, we're talking, every person in the world needs to make money to cover their bills. So you're talking revenues and expenses. I mean, that's, so I think having that conversation earlier on, especially in high school, for some students who might be working part-time if they're 18 and earning money. I mean, I think getting to that, getting to that kind of market is, I'd say market, it's getting to those people is very important, because, once you start, I know when I first started coming up on my first paycheck, it was helpful that I had accounting skills and that I took an accounting class so that I can kind of get an understanding of, hey, if $1,000 goes in my bank account, I'm hoping $1,000 doesn't go out the next day. It's got to last. It's got to last.
Hopefully, right?
Yeah, it's got to last until the next paycheck, right? So I think that's an important area that we can focus on, especially when it comes to younger people, how to manage money, and just the financial literacy aspect, even when it just comes to, like I said, revenues and expenses. I mean, that's the income statement, right? We all have our own personal income statements, our own personal budgets. And we talk about the benefits of making good financial decisions. So, I think that's definitely the first step. Getting early on, really marketing our profession of what we do and who we are and how amazing, even you with, this Tech Talk podcast. I mean, the conversations that we're having and just, the videos and just being able to market the profession. It's the people that make the profession, right? So, and that's, I think a lot of people, when they see the profession, they don't see the people behind it. They don't, they don't get to see, oh, I can be that person. Like this person, oh, they watch sports too. Oh, so do I, but I didn't know they could be an accountant too, right? I'm sure you get all the time. You never heard of a creative accountant, but it's like what's that supposed to mean? But
go to jail usually for that. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's one of the first steps. And I think what's going to help with that too, Sean, is, a couple of days ago, I know there's, I forget which state, but I know there's a legislation to try to make a push for accounting to be a part of the STEM. And more importantly, not only be part of the STEM, but the T in technology, right? I mean, that's accounting, technology, like it's kind of as if the CPAs have been excluded from this the whole time. Because when you think STEM, you think, math and science, you don't think accounting. And like I said, I mean, when we talk bots, when we talk RPA, when we talk about artificial intelligence, when we talk about cybersecurity, I mean, that's all in an accountant's wheelhouse, right? And also, I mean, I want to shout out the AICPA and NASBA as well, because I know that, we have a new CPA exam coming in 2024, right? It's a part of the CPA evolution. And if you Google CPA evolution, for those who may not be familiar, you can read all about it there. And shout out to Richard Gallagher of the AICPA. He's an alumni of St. Peter's University. But I think they did a great job of gathering the information and identifying the skills that are needed for a qualified CPA, going forward. And the CPA exam is going to assess individuals on those skills that's needed, right? You need to be thinking about the future. And I think that it's awesome that we are thinking about that as a future. It's awesome that we have the Tech Talk podcast, because it's just having those conversations, letting people know about what's out there, what's happening. I think that's so important. So I think they did a fantastic job of looking at the future and making sure we have the correct skill sets to advise our clients and be strong business advisors in the future. I think now what we need to shift our focus to is just kind of, how can you individually, how can you be an ally or advocate? And when I say that, I mean, even in your own position, even in your own company, if you're thinking of the next 2 to 3 years, who can you help be a good ally? Who can you help? My dad always says it's in business, it's push pull, right? You help push someone up, they help pull you up, but it makes sense, right? Like it's no secret. It's, how can you be a better advocate to, just dropping somebody's name and giving them kudos when they're not in the room, right? And when someone does a great job, making sure that the leadership, if you're a part of those conversations, how do you bring up those people's names and make sure, this is a team effort, right? Like it's like sports. This is the way I always see it. You need everyone moving in the right direction. I mean, there's so much to know, in business and being a CPA. There's so many skill sets, and you can't know them all. So having the right team and the right people to go to, like yourself, to keep us up to date on these like emerging trends is so important. And like I said, it's who can you advocate for, who can you help push up, and how can you identify new talent? I mean, for new incoming CPAs, when you're trying to get into that managerial position of your career, you're going to be supervising people, and you want good people working for you. So, it's never too early to see, who do I know with different skill sets that can help me accomplish this task and, perform good on a project. I mean, that's what you want to open your wheelhouse to. So, so when we talk about building the robust CPA pipeline, I think it's just more of, like I said, identifying it's okay to know where we're struggling as a profession, but now how do we do what we do as educators? How do we teach skills and identify needs of our students. If there is a gap, if it's a financial literacy gap, if it's a Microsoft Excel gap, how do we fill the holes of that gap? And I do believe it is a team effort between AICPA, between state professional societies, between accounting firms and companies and higher education to get together and, find a way to attack this problem together, because I really do think it's going to be a team effort.
Absolutely right, Philip. And I do think that there are some great tailwinds right now out there that basically all of us collectively have sort of woken up and I think pivoted hard to really trying to understand that, yes, that the goal of all of us is to be that trusted advisor, right? But that actually now tools and applications and the opportunities are there for us to actually do it,
yep.
Right? Both now and going forward. And so to try to round out our talk here today, we've covered a lot of sort of technical areas, right? But you also brought up a few areas that I want to hone in on. Are there any of those other types of content areas, be it, presentation skills, being able to write an email? Are there any other content areas outside of the quantitative aspects, right, that our up and coming members should really try to amplify and to put out there as a real asset of themselves?
Yeah, you definitely hit it right on the head. I think great minds think alike when you're talking about that presentation skill, for sure. But yeah, no. I mean, along those lines, first things that comes to mind in general is absolutely those presentation skills. And when we talk about that, we're talking about communication skills. And you hear that word thrown around a lot, but it's kind of like, what is communication, right? What is effective communication? I even was in search of that. And I think it comes down to, like you said, I think the first thing is always practicing your elevator pitch. I think that's so important. A 10-minute, even if it's 30 seconds, 2-minute pitch, 5-minute pitch of, who you are, what do you represent? What is it that you're asking for? How can you help me do this? I think that's a great practice. I know we do it sometimes in the classroom, in my classroom, but I think it's just something that throughout your career is just a skill important to practice. Because I think that helps with just presentation and being effective with your time, right? Like, they always say time is money, but it's true, right? It's true. If you're trying to do a new initiative at your company and you're trying to get the attention of your partner, you got to understand, like, you really have a short window to really pitch this person, right? So what is it going to take for them? What information do they need? How can I do that concisely? That's not just something you wing. That's something you strategically plan. Along the lines of that elevator pitch, you said this too, presentation, a slide deck. Practice making your own slide deck. Like, we have one today. It doesn't have to be anything long. Maybe I would recommend, do a PowerPoint presentation, Microsoft or Google Slides, put together 5 or 6 slides of your own career. Summarize the last 5 or 6 years of your career, or maybe the last 5 or 6 years of your life. And, just work on those skills, because I think having an effective presentation and an effective pitch will allow you to kind of accomplish the goal that you're trying to set out, especially when you're trying to form new initiatives, or maybe you just while you're advocating for yourself for a promotion. These things do matter, and they will help you. Very important skills. Another important skill set that I'm currently also working on is project management skills, right? Like, project management, time management, really understanding the scope of that audit, or the scope of what you're trying to accomplish. What is setting a goal, understanding the tasks that are needed to complete that project, really breaking that down and understanding how much time and leeway you need get those tasks done and in what order, and the sequencing, and like I said, just effective time management. I think project management allows you to really understand what you're trying to accomplish in the amount of time that you need, and it gives you a realistic timeline without overcommitting yourself or overcommitting your resources, to be honest. I know a lot of us think about the billable hour and submitting your timesheet and, do I have enough hours, or, and I think as a profession, we can get more towards the project management. I think that will allow us to effectively use our human resources. I think that will give us a better understanding of how long it takes to complete a task. And, with project management skills, like I said, you could also look at Coursera, you could also look at Google certificates. Like there are plenty of training modules out there of how to effectively learn project management skills. I think project management, time management is so important. We talked about communication skills. We talked about the elevator pitch, presentation, of writing an effective email. An email is kind of like, you want to get to the point. What is it that you're asking for? If you feel like the email is a little lengthy, then maybe it is worth jumping on a 15-minute phone call, 10-minute phone call. I know for me, when I send emails, I don't just fire them off. I got to write them and rewrite them and make sure, am I getting to my points? Can I write everything in 3 or 4 lines? Is it organized in a way, bullet points or whatnot for the user, kind of like users of financial statements, right? It's, you got to think about your user. You got to think about you are asking this person to do something, or you need to answer the question. How can you effectively shoot an email to them and write something so that it's to the point and they can get back to you, fairly soon, or in a coherent, concise manner. So, those are important things. And, the last set of skills I would bring up is, I'm at a Jesuit university at St. Peter's, and, we talk about cure personalis. We talk about care for the whole person. Educating yourself and building your skill set in mindfulness, and just awareness, personal awareness, unconscious bias training is so great. When we talk about mindfulness, you want to really understand, how do you work best? What time periods are you most efficient? I know that's more productivity, but we talk about caring for the whole person. So when I give out skill sets, I don't just do the technical or just quantitative and qualitative, but it's also just thinking about what's needed for a team to succeed. How do you get the most out of a team? Like I said, I always think about sports. So you're trying to achieve a goal, and everybody has different skill sets, different strengths and weaknesses, and you want people to perform, play to their strengths. Right. So I think those are a lot of, I think in summary, those are the skill sets that you want to look at when you're trying to become, or if you're a current CPA, those are skill sets that will help you kind of really take your career to the next level. And, I'll mention this, you got to understand your career is going to be, it's a long journey. It has a lot of peaks and valleys. Dr. Nicole Luongo, who's a fellow faculty member of mine, she teaches in the education program, St. Peter's. She always says, and she does a lot of distance learning trainings for all of our faculty. She's fantastic. And she always says, be kind to yourself. And it's true, like this is a journey, even for me and you, Sean, right? Like there are skill sets that we're strong in, and there's skill sets that we're weak in. And, it's over time you will build your skill set, but there's only 24 hours in a day, So I always have to remind myself that it doesn't matter if you're in year 5 or 10 or year 20 or 30, this is just, your career is very long. There's always an opportunity to learn something new, and an opportunity to reskill yourself or learn a new skill. And just, you want to have this lifelong learning mentality, even if you have, your advanced degrees or whatnot. And, you just be patient, and it's important to be aware. I would always say assess yourself every 3 to 4 months and see, what projects have you worked on? What have you accomplished? Are there skills that you identified that you would like to work on? Like I said, I would like to work on my project management skills. And you know what? If I can get to it before the end of the summer, great. If not, it's still on my list. It doesn't have to be now. You got to know how to shift the work and shift your time. And I really do believe as you continue to build your skill sets, I'm 8 years into my career, and I see that there's so much to learn and so much to know, and I think that you just shouldn't be don't pressure yourself to be in a certain time frame or time period. Be kind to yourself and make sure you're just assessing your skills every 3 or 4 months, and just you can have something on your chart that you want to accomplish, and listen, if it gets done now, it gets done now. If it's 2 years from now, 5 years from now, that's fine. But it's, as long as you're taking note of it and writing it down, it's on the list. I think that's an effective way of kind of chipping away at improving your skill set.
No, and your I think point there about it being a ongoing process, right? I came into the profession back in 2008, right? And I could have never, ever forecasted Bitcoin, blockchain, any of these trends that really I talk about so much now. And so having that open, creative outlook is really a area that anybody should have, right? Current students, current folks out there, folks that have been working for a while, having that open, creative, almost optimistic outlook, right? Trying to gather and to learn and to continuously improve on our expertise and our areas of expertise is really a area that actually is very, very critical to have and is also free.
Yep.
So so Phil, I do want to say thank you for appearing on the podcast. I just have a couple show notes here, but Philip will absolutely have to have you on the NJCPA Tech Talk podcast.
Yeah.
Again, talking about trends in accounting, trends in how the CPA exam itself is actually changing and how it's influencing how anybody in education, either in higher ed or at firms, have to evolve also. Yeah. And so I hope that all of you are currently signed up for the NJCPA Tech Talk in your favorite podcasting app. Our podcast is also available on YouTube at youtube.com/NJCPA. Also online at njcpa.org/tech talk. And for all NJCPA members, and I hope all of you are, always, I encourage everyone to join up for the Emerging Technologies Interest Group at njcpa.org/groups. Phil, awesome having me on here. Going to have you back on again.
No, of course, Sean. I really appreciate being on here. And like I said before, just in closing, I love watching this on the YouTube. I love, I got to get the visual. So I love watching Tech Talk on the YouTube. And, this is just to piggyback off of what you said, that for me, this is an exciting time to be a CPA. I started studying for the exam in 2012, and, I have no regrets at all. I mean, this truly is a space for everyone. We're talking about emerging technologies. We're talking about sustainability reporting, ESG. I mean, there's just so many areas. This is a great way to make a career, and I think it's the best profession out there, personally.
I do too.
Yeah.
But we aren't biased, though, are we? We are CPAs, but no. It is objectively best place out there.
Absolutely.
All right, Phil. Thank you so much again, my friend.
All right. Thanks, Sean. Till later.